Hello my fellow students and welcome back. In this video we're going to be covering the lesson 3 pathogens of section B variety of living organisms, and we're still on unit 1 double award science biology. Here is the title, and make sure to note that this specification is for Pearson Edexcel iGCSE in Science Double Award. Alright, here are our learning objectives that you should know by the end of this video. You should be able to define the terms pathogen and parasite, state some examples of good and bad microorganisms, describe the structure of a virus, and you should be able to explain why a virus is not classed as a living thing. Okay, first of all, we're going to look at some definitions. For pathogen, so it's a microorganism that can cause a disease. That's simple enough. However, a parasite definition, I did get a big one from Google. It's not worth noting everything down, but it's an organism that lives off another organism, and it's actually costing that other organism rather than helping it. And they have to live, they have to have a host to be able to reproduce and to live. Those are parasites. If you want, you can pause the video to read this full definition. Okay, a little task. Do you want to find 2 examples of a bad bacteria and 2 examples of good bacteria, and do the same for fungi and viruses. Pause the video and we will be back to show you. Okay, so here are some useful and good bacteria. For example, Lactobacillus, which is used to make yogurt, and Bifidobacteria, which is found in our digestive tract, and obviously good bacteria in our digestive tract help us digest food. However, bad bacteria, we can call these pathogens because bacteria do not require a host to be able to live, well, for a, short amount of time. That's why they're pathogens. You have the Salmonella and E. coli, which causes food poisoning and meningitis and pneumonia, etc. For fungi, you have the yeast, which is used to make bread and beer, And you have the penicillin, which is produced in penicillin, which is used as an antibiotic. However, we have bad viruses. First of all, viruses are not cells. They're very simple particles. You can see here, compared to a bacterium cell, and compared to an animal cell, it is incredibly small. They're not classed as living things, and this we will cover a little later in the video why. Viruses can affect animals, plants, and even bacteria because they're so small they can probably enter anything. Viruses are much, much smaller than bacterial cells, as I already explained. So, now let's see why viruses are not living things. If you recall back my video about Mrs. Granny, about what living organisms or living things must do. In this case, viruses do not move, respire, respond to stimuli, grow, excrete, or feed, which is why they do not have the characteristics of Mrs. Granny or living things. The only living characteristic they carry out is reproduction. Well, they divide their cells. But in order to be a living thing, they must carry out all the other characteristics. They are parasites because they can only reproduce inside living cells, whether it's plants, animals, bacteria. The cell in which the virus lives is called the host. This is not a pathogen because pathogens, they cause infections just like parasites, but they can live for a small amount of time, but they can still survive a little bit outside a host. Although parasites always require a host, which they cost from for their own benefits. Alright, so now let's look at another learning objective, which was structure of a virus particle. Okay, first of all, viruses do not have no nucleus, nor do they have cytoplasm. And this is why they are neither eukaryotes or prokaryotes, because they do not live. Okay, they have a genetic material in form of DNA or RNA, which is right in the middle. It's like a squiggly line, and it's surrounded by a protein coat, which you can see here. This genetic material contains just a few genes, all that is needed for the virus to reproduce. That is all. So they do not do anything else but reproduce, because they can't. As we saw in the other characteristics, they can't move, they can't excrete, they can't nourish, they only reproduce themselves. Some viruses have a membrane or an envelope surrounding the virus particle. This is stolen from their host cell. Can you believe that? It can be used for protection. This can be used for protection. This is the envelope, the yellow surrounding part. You can see here, envelope. Alright, we're just gonna go over examples of viruses, because I said we were gonna go over this earlier, but I did the structure and explanation before. So, first of all, viruses come in all shapes and sizes. We have plenty of different examples here. So, we're going to just go over a few common examples in humans. First of all, we have HIV. This is the virus that severely damages the person's immune system. Very mean. And we have the influenza, the virus that causes flu. Oh, there was actually like a influenza pandemic that I watched a documentary about that. Anyways, and we also have the coronavirus, which is a very major thing going on right now because of a virus. So that's very common examples in humans. Anyways, we are ticking off our learning objectives. So I hope now you can define the terms pathogen and parasite, state some good examples of microorganisms, if they're bad or good. I literally read that in reverse. Describe the structure of a virus and explain why a virus is not classed as a living thing. If you have not ticked all of those objectives and you want you can go back on my video, or you can look at plenty of other videos. I'm sure there is plenty others, and it's good to learn from different types of people. So make sure to watch other videos, not particularly mine, but others on YouTube's. Alright, you have a few keywords here, but thank you for watching. Please, I would hugely appreciate if you give a subscribe as well as a like. Thank you.